The controversy over the private email server that Hillary Clinton used as Secretary of State, well, that's not going away. The former staffer who helped set it up has been granted immunity in the criminal investigation and will be interviewed.
Brian Pagliano had previously invoked his constitutional right against self-incrimination. A spokesman says the Clinton presidential campaign is pleased Pagliano is cooperating with the Justice Department.
So what, if anything, does this tell us about where things stand in the investigation, and what does it mean for Hillary Clinton? CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney Philip Holloway joins us now in the studio for a closer look at that, and thanks for doing so. You know, you immediately think you get immunity from something, so why was he offered immunity? What is it he might have done, and why offer it to him?
That is a great question, and the answer is that the Department of Justice believes he has some information that is vital to their investigation. They don't go around handing out immunity like it's candy at Halloween. They give it to people who have information. They give it to people who have information that is vital. This guy presumably has all of the information about why Mrs. Clinton believes she needed this independent server that operates outside the government system in the first place. So finding out what he knows, and believe me, they already know what he knows because their lawyer has sent them something called a proffer letter. They've said, look, this is something that's valuable. We need this because we can get him under oath. We can then use this to move to other people and presumably up to Mrs. Clinton herself.
So investigators already know what Pagliano knows. So what kind of information do you think they're going to try to extract from him?
They're going to find out why the server was necessary in the first place, or at least why he was told it was necessary, who it was that directed him to put the server in, what safeguards were put in place, if any, to protect sensitive information, and just how far up the food chain, so to speak, did this go? Did it go all the way up to Mrs. Clinton? Was she directly involved in this plan? And if so, what did she know about it? What was her intent? And the question is, was it criminal intent? I think there's really no question that this is a criminal investigation, but if they can determine that there was criminal intent either by Mrs. Clinton or perhaps by people junior to her, they can decide to bring charges, and this does not bode well for the Clinton camp.
It's all about classified emails, and we've not seen any at the moment, unless I'm mistaken, that were classified at the time that she was sending or receiving them. They may have been classified after the event. So what is it, do you think, that she could be culpable for?
Well, the problem is that they were classified at the time. They may not have been stamped classified, but secretaries of state need to presume that everything that they say and everything they put in writing is classified the minute it is so-called born. Information becomes marked as classified only when there's a request to release it. It's not like the President of the United States has someone standing next to him at all times with a classified stamp. It's presumably classified the minute that it exists. So that's why this argument about it's not classified or it wasn't marked classified at the moment it passed through my servers, that's a non-starter. When you're the Secretary of State and you have communications with your counterpart in China, in Russia, in France, wherever, or with the President of the United States or even your senior aides, you have to presume that that information is classified the minute it exists.
You say that this doesn't bode well for Hillary Clinton. Do you expect to possibly see her in a courtroom testifying?
I think that at some point they're going to have to interview Mrs. Clinton, whether it's under oath in court or in an FBI interview. I think at some point they're going to have to interview her. She, of course, does have the same rights as everybody else does. She has the right against self-incrimination, but I think it might be very damaging for her politically if she were to invoke the Fifth and refuse to answer any questions. And that raises another issue. When anybody talks to the FBI, if they say anything that's not true, then that could potentially lead to obstruction of justice issues. So it's a very complicated and problematic development, to say the least, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Let's see where it goes from here.
Yeah, and of course, Colin Powell used a server as well, so would it go back to his days as well?
It's not uncommon that federal officials have used a private server, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they use it for personal issues. They don't use it for official business, and that's the problem. If she had a private server for private communications, that would be one thing. But when she's commingling private business and government business on a private server located outside the government framework, that's where the big problem lies.
Got it. All right.
Interesting development.
You bet.
Yep. Philip Holloway, appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Happy to be here.
Thanks, Phil.